At Vector, we recognize that a diversified portfolio outperforms cash most of the time. Looking at 2022 market performance, where stocks and bonds broadly are down on the year, we might wonder, is this time the exception? Would holding only cash have fared better than a diversified portfolio? On the year, all things being equal, exiting the market and sitting on the sidelines with an entire portfolio would have had its advantages in 2022, at least in the short term. But here's the thing, wealth preservation is a long-term pursuit. The compounding nature of money and investments means capital gains generate additional earnings over time. The same compounding effect is true, but inverted for inflation or interest on debt. One of the reasons we invest is to protect our purchasing power over the long term. We know that holders of US dollars see an annual reduction in purchasing power just due to inflation. In years past, we experienced an inflation rate between 2 and 4%. Today, inflation around 7 or 8% year over year. This number, as commented on by the Federal Reserve, is too high. Over time, we expect to see inflation trend downward to more long-term average levels. All right, so far we have cash losing between 2 and 8% a year in purchasing power. So why hold cash if we know its melting rate? Simply, we must avoid becoming forced sellers of long-term investments in a down market. And we have lives to live and expenses connected to our pursuits. Part of wealth management involves setting up a budget for the year. We estimate your in and outflows to come up with a unique to you cash flow projection. We advocate and in practice set aside 2 to 4 years worth of spending needs in short-term, more reliable investments. Back to the top, a diversified portfolio outperforms cash most of the time. In order to beat the compounding effects of inflation, we need a counterweight that can, on average, sufficiently compound in your favor. The S&P index, which contains a basket of 500 large US stocks, has historically generated, on average, a return of about 10% per year since the 1920s. Round out selections from this index with assets from various other classes, and you're on your way to diversification. Think international and small company stocks, bonds, and real estate. We believe that no single asset should make or break a financial plan. This is why we diversify across assets and time. A 60-40 portfolio, for example, where an investor has 60% allocated to stocks and 40% in bonds, despite inter-year declines, has had annual returns that were in excess of cash about 80% of the time, looking back to the 1920s. This is good for those owning a diversified portfolio, especially considering the compounding nature of growth on growth. Yes, 2022 has been a year in which cash, stocks, and bonds all lost purchasing power relative to the goods and services we consume. Will it always be this way? Well, we don't think so. Given time, a diversified portfolio, including a don't sell the bottom buffer, has historically outperformed cash over the longer term. Physicist Albert Einstein once said, "The only reason for time is so that everything doesn't happen at once." A thought-provoking quote indeed. Here at Vector, we see time as the greatest resource for investing.